Và Cây Hoàng xin bắt đầu chương trình ngay bây giờ. Cây Hoàng là Phó Chủ tịch Nội vụ và kế bên Cây Hoàng là Linda Đào, Phó Chủ tịch Ngoại vụ. Hân hạnh đảm nhận vai trò MC trong chương trình Mừng Xuân được tổ chức bởi Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do New South Wales ngày hôm nay. Và vì vẫn còn các quy định cách ly do dịch Covid nên chúng tôi phải giới hạn khách tham dự. Và chương trình hiện tại được phát trực tuyến trên trang Facebook của Cộng đồng. Cũng mong quý vị hãy cùng livestream trên kênh phone cá nhân để đồng hương và bạn bè có thể cùng xem chương trình qua mạng. Năm 2021 là năm Tân Sửu, tức là năm con trâu, con vật đứng thứ hai trong 12 con giáp. Và trong dân gian, chúng ta đã quan niệm con trâu là đầu cơ nghiệp, để thấy được rằng loài vật này rất gần gũi với con người và được xem là bạn của nhà nông. Do đó, năm 2021, năm con trâu Tân Sửu được gắm ước vọng về một năm tràn đầy sung túc, sức khỏe, may mắn cho mọi nhà. Và nhân dịp Tết đến, Ban chấp hành Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do New South Wales xin kính chúc quý vị một năm mới an khang, thịnh vượng và vạn sự như ý.
Good afternoon. My name is Linda Dow, and I'm the External Vice President of the Vietnamese Community Australia New South Wales Chapter. And next to me is Kate Huang, who's the Internal Vice President of the Vietnamese Community in Australia New South Wales Chapter. And we are pleased to assume the role of MCs in today's third ceremony, hosted by the VCA New South Wales. As COVID-19 restrictions and regulations remain due to the pandemic, we had to limit attendance today. The ceremony is currently live streamed on our Facebook page, and we hope you all can live stream on your personal phone and electronic devices so that fellow members in the Vietnamese community and friends can watch the show online together. The year 2021 is the year of the buffalo, the second animal of the 12 zodiac animals. In folklore, there is a belief that the buffalo is the head of investment, which shows that the animal is very close to humans and is considered a friend of the farmer. The year 2021, the year of the buffalo, symbolizes hope and wishes for a year full of prosperity, health, and luck for everyone. The Executive Board of the Vietnamese Community in Australia New South Wales Chapter would like to take this opportunity to wish you a happy, prosperous, and wonderful new year. To start the program, we would like to acknowledge the presence of Mr. Paul Huy Nguyen, President of the Vietnamese Community in Australia New South Wales Chapter, Mr. Nguyen Văn Sam, President of the Executive Advisory Committee, Mr. Võ Minh Cương, President of the former ARVN Association, Mr. Võ Đại Tôn, Prisoner of Conscience, and the representatives of the Vietnamese Community Australia Associations. And we also acknowledge the representatives of the government on the federal, state, and local level. Representing the federal government is the Honourable David Coleman, MP, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. Mr. Chris Hayes, MP, Member for Fowler, Chief Opposition Whip. Mr. Jerome Bertolet, Policy Advisor of the Premier. The Honourable Chris Bowen, MP, Member for McMahon, New South Wales, Shadow Minister for Health. Representing the state is the Honourable Ms. Tanya Mahalik, Member from Bankstown. The Honourable Mr. Nick Lalik, MP, Member for Cabramatta. The Honourable Ms. Wendy Lindsay, Member for East Hills. The Honourable Mr. Guy Zangari, MP, Member for Fairfield. The Honourable Mr. Jason Clare, MP, Member for Baxland. On the council level is Mayor Frank Caboni from Fairfield City Council, Mayor Carl Asfor from Canterbury Bankstown City Council, Mayor the Honourable Philip Ruddock from Hornsby Shire Council, Councillor Dai Lee from Fairfield City Council, Councillor Sira Yilmaz from Fairfield City Council, Councillor Bilal El Hayak from Canterbury Bankstown City Council, Councillor George Zakia from Canterbury Bankstown City Council, and Councillor Alex Kaskov from Canterbury Bankstown City Council. We welcome all distinguished guests invited here today. President Ms. Hương Thị Trần from VCA Wollongong, VCA Medical Advisor Dr. Brian Gung Bình, Fairfield Commander Detective Superintendent Brent McFadden, and welcome all members of the Vietnamese community present here or following us at home.
Và xin chúng ta hãy cho một tràng pháo tay với tất cả những vị khách mời của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Xin cảm ơn quý vị. Và nhắc đến Tết Việt Nam thì người ta sẽ nhắc đến múa lân. Múa lân chào năm mới không chỉ giúp đem lại không khí tươi vui mà còn giúp xua đuổi tà khí, giúp mọi việc khởi đầu thuận lợi, may mắn và đem đến thái bình, thịnh vượng cho mọi nhà. Và kế tiếp chương trình, kính mời quý vị cùng chào đón các chú lân đầy màu sắc, náo động không khí tươi vui và đem lại tài lộc thịnh vượng cho mọi gia đình.
Ladies and gentlemen, to begin today's ceremony, please invite to the stage Mr. Paul Huy Nguyen, President of the Vietnamese Community of Australia, New South Wales Chapter, to give a welcoming address. Mr. Paul Huy Nguyen has been leading the Vietnamese community in Australia, New South Wales team since 2017, and today's event would not have been possible without his vision and dedication. So it is with great pleasure to welcome Mr. Paul Huy Nguyen.
Xin chào mừng ông Paul Huy Nguyễn, Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do tại New South Wales.
Thank you, our Vice President Kate Hoang and Linda Dow. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, spiritual leaders, ladies and gentlemen. I acknowledge the traditional owners of this land in which we meet and pay respect to elders past and present. I also acknowledge the distinguished presence of our members of federal and state parliament, mayors and councillors, in particular, the Honourable David Coleman, the Honourable Chris Bowen, the Honourable Jason Clare, Mr. Chris Hay MP, Mr. Tanya Mihalak, Ms. Wendy Lindsay, Mr. Guy Zangari MP, Nick Lalick MP, Mayor Frank Caboni, Mayor Carl Ashford, and Mayor Philip Radek, and all councillors. I also like to extend a special warm welcome to our President of the Vietnamese community in Wollongong Chapter, Teresa Tran. Ladies and gentlemen, community members, on behalf of the Executive Committee of the VCA New South Wales Chapters, I would like to extend to you all our warmest welcome and best wishes 2021 Lunar New Year of the Ox. Tết is an important celebration of the Vietnamese culture and tradition. Tết represents a time for family reunion, honoring our ancestors, celebrating new beginnings, with hope for the best to come to us and our family as we welcome to the new year. 2021, the year of the ox, is about hope, overcoming adversity, a year to rebuild and renew. These are the themes inspiring this year's Tết ceremony. In the Vietnamese culture, when we think of the ox, we often imagine an ox in a rice field of rice paddy. The ox diligently sow the rice paddy, playing the vital role, turning tiny seedlings into vast rice field of rice. Just like the ox, through diligence, we can turn what we have into more, and we can build a better life for ourselves from adversity and enjoy the fruit of our hard work in abundance. We have been resilient throughout the unprecedented and challenging year of 2020, and community is very hopeful for a better 2021. We are welcoming the year of the ox with a great hope for success in all fronts. When we have hope, anything is possible. Despite the hardship and difficulty faced in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic, VCA New South Wales chapter endeavor to keep the Tết tradition alive by organizing today Tết ceremony at our Vietnamese Culture Center in lieu of the usual annual Tết festival at Fairfield Showground. And although the Tết ceremony has to be held on a relatively smaller scale in light of the government COVID self-regulation, VCA still endeavor to create a Tết atmosphere this year. In this intimate setting with vivid decoration of ox, fans, flowers, symbolizing the theme of hope and resilience. And it's also a great opportunity to welcome you to this center, where some of you may be here for very first time. It feels like we are welcoming you into a VCA family. Our home at this center is VCA home base for culture event and function within the community. Considering the COVID-19 situation in other country abroad, it seems almost like a miracle that we are be able to gather here at all today. This could have not been possible without the Australian government, who has had to make tough decisions during an unprecedented time. The community recognized the success of the Australian government response to the pandemic. We are very thankful for the Australian government prioritizing the health and safety to the Australian people. And we are also thankful that the wider Australian community has worked together, adapting our life to keep COVID-19 at bay. VCA has also adapted to new challenges. This time, the obstacle we have faced and the challenges we have come across in future, we still continue to carry on all of our activity, focusing on what matters to what we value, such as preserving our culture, organizing medical forums, providing vital information about domestic violence, organizing events, protests, lobbying on human rights and social justice issues. We rose to the challenges by adapting, changing our platform to online, which has proven to be very popular within the community. The Vietnamese Australian community exemplify many traits of the ox, particularly resilient and hard-working nature. Through hard work, overcome adversity, adapting challenges, the Vietnamese Australian community have made a positive contribution to this second home, and we have added vibrancy to the fabric of multiculturalism in Australia. The Vietnamese Australian for the younger generation have benefited from the fruit of their parents' hard work and sacrifices and have enjoyed world-class education that their parents could only imagine about back in Vietnam. We sincerely thank you, Australia, for welcoming us and allow us to call this beautiful country our second home. Thank you for providing us the opportunity that we have thoroughly enjoyed for the last 46 years, and we will continue to positively contribute to Australia and pass on our hard-working trade to future generations. On final note, ladies and gentlemen, we wish everyone will charge into the new year of 2021 like the ox, filled with hope, optimism, diligence, and resilience. I wish for the lunar new year of the ox to bring happiness, good health, prosperity, success to you and your family. Happy New Year! Kính thưa quý vị quan khách, quý hội đoàn, quý đoàn thể và quý đồng hương. Nhân dịp xuân về, chúng tôi xin kính chúc quý vị một năm mới an khang, thịnh vượng, dồi dào sức khỏe. Kính thưa quý vị, năm 2020 là một năm nhiều người không muốn nhớ lại, nhưng chắc chắn cũng sẽ là một năm không dễ dàng quên đi. Cả thế giới phải dành trọn nhân lực và tài lực để đối phó với đại dịch Vũ Hán. Dịch đã tác động mạnh mẽ lên mọi khía cạnh đời sống của con người, làm thay đổi thế giới từ những điều nhỏ nhất. Cách con người giao tiếp với nhau cũng phải thay đổi, hàng loạt sự kiện lớn nhỏ, tất cả các lãnh vụ bị hủy bỏ, chuyển sang thành những hệ thống trực tuyến. Cộng đồng người Việt tự do New South Wales cũng không ngoại lệ. Chúng ta phải đối diện rất nhiều với nhiều thử thách về tài chánh cũng như hành chánh. Tuy nhiên, với sự nỗ lực không ngừng nghỉ và mục đích phục vụ đồng hương trong mọi hoàn cảnh, Ban chấp hành vẫn tiếp tục thực hiện tất cả các chương trình sinh hoạt, văn hóa, nhân quyền, vận động chính giới, hội thảo y tế, bạo hành gia đình và nhiều chương trình khác qua hình thức trực tuyến. Vào những ngày cuối năm 2020, thế giới liên tục nhận những các tin không tốt liên quan đến Covid-19. Một số cộng đồng phải thậm chí và một số quốc gia đã kiểm soát thành công tác đợt bùng phá dịch bệnh. Gánh nặng về y tế và khóa cửa biên giới đang dần nới lỏng. Vaccine đã được phê chuẩn tại một số quốc gia, đem lại hy vọng cho đại dịch sớm kết thúc. Có rất nhiều hy vọng và kỳ vọng cho năm 2021. Đó là sẽ là một năm đầy nhiều hy vọng và tuyệt vời. Ban chấp hành Cộng đồng Người Việt tự do New South Wales vinh dự là tiếng nói của cộng đồng người Việt. Tại New South Wales, chúng tôi sẽ cố gắng hết sức để tiếng nói của quý vị được vang xa và được lắng nghe. Chúng tôi mong muốn những tiếng nói của quý vị trở thành hiện thực. Chúng tôi sẽ đi tìm hy vọng và công bình cho những người đấu tranh vì nhân quyền. Chúng tôi tôn vinh những vị anh hùng đã cống hiến cho quốc gia Việt Nam Cộng Hòa. Chúng tôi sẽ tìm kiếm giải pháp để vượt qua khó khăn và thử thách. Cộng đồng người Việt sẽ tiếp tục phát triển lớn và mạnh. Toàn thể Ban chấp hành Cộng đồng Người Việt tự do New South Wales xin kính chúc quý đồng hương một năm mới vạn sự an khang. Chúng ta cùng nhau vượt qua năm 2020 đầy thử thách để tìm kiếm hy vọng và thành công trong năm 2021. Xin cảm ơn quý vị.
Xin cảm ơn ông Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Người Việt tự do New South Wales Paul Huy Nguyễn.
Thank you, Mr. President Paul Huy Nguyen. The next guest speaker is a representative of the federal government. He has an arts law degree and an interesting career with Nine Network and Yellow Brick Road among some of the companies in his resume before entering politics. He celebrates diversity, where in his inaugural speech to Parliament he stated that Australia has made its national foundation stronger by allowing more people to build upon them. I would like to invite to the stage the Honourable David Coleman, Federal Member of the Australian Parliament for Banks, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention.
Xin quý vị hãy chào mừng ông David Coleman.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon, everyone. It's fantastic to be here. Can I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, all of the very many dignitaries. I won't go through the whole list, but you can see by the depth and breadth of all of the people who are here today, the real significance of Tet Festival in our community. And it's different this year. Normally we're used to tens of thousands of people at the Fairfield Showground. So obviously COVID has meant some changes, but we still come together to celebrate and acknowledge the same things. And nothing more important than that, than celebrating and acknowledging the extraordinary contribution of the Australian Vietnamese community. I saw some little plaques over there, which I think suggest that, as happens most years, later on we're going to acknowledge the HSC students who have done incredibly well. And year in, year out, we see that fantastic achievement from HSC students from Australians of Vietnamese background at this event. And we also see the extraordinary embrace of freedom in Australia by the Vietnamese community. The truth is that those of us who have grown up all our lives in Australia, we sometimes slips our mind how fortunate we are to live in such a free nation. And sometimes we forget that that state of affairs is actually pretty rare in human history. Sometimes we forget that. And the Australian Vietnamese community never forgets that, because the Australian Vietnamese community has been through so much in recent decades. And I do want to particularly acknowledge the veterans who are among us today. We acknowledge you, gentlemen, very much on this important day. So congratulations to everyone who's put together today's event. It's obviously been different this year, but a great event nonetheless. Happy Year of the Ox to everyone. I wish your families and yourselves all the best for a great year and a fantastic TED Festival. Thanks very much.
Xin cảm ơn ông David Coleman. Và kế đến, xin kính mời đại diện Đảng Đối lập Liên bang, dân biểu vùng Fowler, ông Chris Hay có đôi lời phát biểu.
Thank you, Mr. David Coleman, for your New Year message. I would now like to invite to the stage our next guest speaker, the Honourable Chris Hayes, MP, Federal Member of the Australian Parliament for Fowler, representative of the Federal Opposition. The Honourable Chris Hayes is no stranger to the Vietnamese community, a familiar face at many of the VCA events, along with his wife Bernadette. He is outspoken about human rights issues, who would voice concerns in Parliament about human rights abuses happening in Vietnam. Thank you, Honourable Chris Hayes, for being a voice for the Vietnamese people.
Please welcome Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Kate. King Châu quý vị, chúc mừng năm mới Thông Dư. Tôi rất mong có mặt hôm nay, người Việt Nam rất lạc điệp trong tim tôi. It's certainly an honour for me to be here today representing the Leader of the Opposition, Anthony Albanese, who unfortunately can't make it today, but he asked to send his best wishes to you as you celebrate Tet. I start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of this ancient and great land of ours, Australia, and pay my respects to elders past and present. I congratulate Paul Nguyen, his executive team, and all the volunteers that have made this event possible today. As David said, I know this is very different to what we normally celebrate as Tet in Fairfield Showground, but nevertheless, Tet is important that we still come together, because we understand that Tet is a time for families. Families be able to come together to celebrate the new year, to celebrate their heritage and to celebrate their culture. And by the way, without stealing Frank Caboni's thunder, Tet is a festival in Fairfield which has been adopted by our greater community. This is a festival we look forward to and welcome every year. Now, Chris Bowen and I have the distinct honour of representing Australia's biggest Vietnamese community in Australia, our federal parliament. And Chris and I often speak about the matters which are certainly impact on Australian Vietnamese. Our veterans, our human rights campaigners, our community that values freedom and democracy. And just picking up a little bit from what David said, one of the things that makes the Vietnamese such ideal Australian citizens is their passionate belief in freedom, democracy and respect for human rights. And that's something I think we should all take heart from. This year is, as we understand, the year of the ox. I'm told that the ox is known for hard work, dedication, loyalty and honesty. It's got to be better than that rat of a year we had last year. The year of the rat really proved to be very difficult for everybody. We had that pandemic, but think about what occurred before the pandemic. This nation was racked by bushfires. Now, I mentioned that because it was the very first community that set about the fundraise for the bushfire victims was our Vietnamese community. Paul Nguyen and his team at the VCA, many of the local temples also joined in it, but this was about raising funds for fellow Australians in need. One thing I've learnt about the Vietnamese community in the time I've been here representing this community is that they have a very compassionate and generous nature. They go out of their way to look after Australians in need. And we've seen it before in floods in Queensland, fires in Victoria, and now the bushfires that occurred here. The Vietnamese community was the very, very first to organise the fundraising and raise many, many thousands of dollars. As a matter of fact, our colleagues, Vietnamese colleagues in the United States, through valiant efforts for those that live in California, which itself was racked by fire, donated through this community $250,000 for bushfire victims as well. So all this money came through the efforts of our Vietnamese community. Now, as I say, we know our Vietnamese community is very much valuing freedom and democracy and respect for human rights. We know their humanitarian nature, but there's one of the humanitarian I'm going to say activists, but maybe a human rights activist who can't be with us today, even though his family lives at Barella, something like 10 kilometres away. But I'm referring to Van Kem Chow. He was arrested 2 years ago in Vietnam. Last year he was charged and tried as a terrorist. Now, this man from Barella was a retired 72-year-old baker. He was in Vietnam on a fact-finding tour without any evidence that any lawyers have been able to see to attest to any activities in terms of terrorism. This man is now serving a 12-year sentence. Now, I just think in the year of the ox, we should actually put in a bit of hard work, coordinating with our governments to ensure that we can actually secure his freedom and his repatriation to Australia, and particularly to his wife here in Barella. So I just think this year we have some challenges. We need to recover and rebuild from the coronavirus. We need to actually ensure that we instill the very values of multiculturalism in our community. And by the way, I think the other aspect of TET, it gives us as all Australians to really look at the success that TET and all the other multicultural events that we host here in our community that really are symbolism of modern day Australia. So through your passionate belief in freedom and democracy, your proud heritage and culture, the Vietnamese community, quite frankly, has enriched our nation. You've helped make us a better community with a far brighter future. I wish everyone good health, prosperity in the year of the ox. King Chukwivi, va zaden, nemoi vive manque, va maimang, gaman quivi.
Xin cảm ơn ông Chris Hay. Và kế đến, Khai xin mời đại diện chính phủ của New South Wales, dân biểu vùng East Hill, bà Wendy Lindsay có đôi lời phát biểu.
Thank you, Mr. Chris Hayes, for your New Year message. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite to the stage the Honourable Wendy Lindsay, State Member of the New South Wales Parliament for East Hills, representative of the state government. Acknowledged as the East Hills Woman of the Year in 2015, actively fighting to get things done in her local community. One of her greatest achievements was arranging the conversion of an old brick building at Padstow Park Public School into a state-of-the-art kitchen classroom, made possible due to tireless fundraising. Please welcome the Honourable Wendy Lindsay.
Thank you very much. Well, it's my great honour to be here today, and I also would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet, the Cabral people of the Bonnyrigg Nation. I'd also like to acknowledge all the distinguished guests, many of my parliamentary colleagues here today from all levels of government, and of course the President of the VCA, Mr Paul Win-Win. Thank you for having me again. Happy Lunar New Year, everybody, and it's a great day. The weather's held out to have some photos out the front with the ox, which is a great welcoming thing to do as you walked in the building, along with the drums. It was fantastic to have what is a different Tet festival to what we're used to, but still worth celebrating, and happy to be a part of it nonetheless. It's my great pleasure to be here today representing the Premier Gladys Berejiklian and the Acting Minister for Multiculturalism, the Honourable Dr Jeff Lee, and to be with you here to celebrate this year of the buffalo, or the year of the ox. The water buffalo has obviously played a large part in Vietnamese farming history, and is a great representation of not only providing food for families, but also powering ploughs and transporting goods and people in the Vietnamese community. The ox's willingness to work hard and their gentle nature and persistence is an example to us all of how we can learn to work together to not only tackle our everyday tasks, but also to tackle the challenges that we've faced in the last 12 to 18 months. Tet's obviously widely celebrated and all around the Southeast Asia, as well as here in Australia, and it's great to be here to bring all of our wonderful communities together. Unfortunately, Tet has been impacted with not only weather, but COVID in the last 2 years, but it is great to be here and see everyone in their beautiful costumes and traditional dress. So, on behalf of the Premier and the Minister, I thank the many volunteers of the Vietnamese community that have brought us all here today together for this event, and also a big shout out to the VCA board, who are not only probably one of the hardest and smart and diligent group of people that represent their community, but also I think probably one of the most stunning looking boards that Australia has as well for a community group. So again, I would like to just acknowledge how much the New South Wales Government deeply appreciates the many contributions of the Australian Vietnamese people, and also the vast Vietnamese community in my community of East Hills, where I represent. So again, Happy Lunar New Year, and I hope the year of 2020, the year of the ox, is exactly that and makes us all strong as an ox. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Miss Wendy Lindsay.
Xin cảm ơn bà Wendy Lindsay. Và kế đến, chúng ta xin kính mời đại diện của đảng đối lập, dân biểu vùng Fairfield, ông Guy Zangari có đôi lời phát biểu.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage our next guest speaker, the Honourable Guy Zangari, State Member of the New South Wales Parliament for Fairfield, representative of the state opposition. The Honourable Guy Zangari is a proud Westie who has taught at various schools in Western Sydney before his debut into politics. He comes from a migrant family who embraces his Italian heritage, as well as being a proud Australian. He once said that he is grateful that this country allows us to be both, respecting our traditions. He is also a familiar face in the Vietnamese community, who stood alongside our team collecting donations from the public at Cabramatta Freedom Plaza for the bushfire appeal. Please welcome Mr. Guy Zangari.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to you. Happy New Year in the year of the ox. Chúc mừng năm mới to you all. Blessings for you and your family in the year of the ox. I also would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay respects to elders both past, present, emerging, because we know we are on the land of the Bonnyrigg, the Cabral people of the Bonnyrigg Nation. And we thank them every day for nurturing and looking after this beautiful country called Australia. They looked after it for 60,000 years, and now we live together as proud Australians, and you as proud Vietnamese Australians. Can I also acknowledge the many, many parliamentary colleagues who are here, but in a special way my New South Wales Labor opposition colleagues who are with me. Of course, to Tanya Mihalik, who has the third largest Vietnamese population in an electorate in New South Wales, to Nick Lalich, who has the most Vietnamese people living in a state electorate in Cabramatta, but also to Wendy Lindsay, who is representing the Premier of New South Wales. We thank you for being here as well. To Paul Huy Nguyen, the godfather, as I call him, of the Vietnamese community, and the godmother, Kate Hoang, who are here. They do a great job. And you know what? When times are tough, and they have been, the VCA are always there under their leadership, knocking on the door to the state, federal colleagues and local government representatives, including Mayor Caboni, who is here, and our Fairfield councillors and Bankstown councillors, and of course those from Hornsby as well. But they're always knocking on the door, asking for help, not for themselves, not for the Vietnamese community, but for others. And that is a wonderful attribute about the Vietnamese community, thinking of others and putting others first and them later on. So Paul, to you, your volunteers, to Kate and everyone on the committee, thank you for the great work that you do, because you are proud Australians. Thank you for what you do. But you know what, ladies and gentlemen, the Vietnamese community has left its mark right across New South Wales. When you go to the National Maritime Museum, you see this blue and red old fishing boat that has now been preserved to remind Australians about the travels back then in the 70s, around 1975, of those brave men and women, the pioneers of the Vietnamese Australian community. Closer to home, when you go to Bankstown, you see in Saigon Place the monument there acknowledging once again the people who were on those boats, who sacrificed it all for their children to have a better life. And right here in this room, next door, there are 3 photos, a couple of drawings and some photographs. And when you look at those, you realise that yes, no matter where you turn in our community, the Vietnamese are always proud of their heritage. Proud. There are hundreds of stories. And today when I walked in, I looked at one of the photographs that was on there. There would have been about 100 people on an old fishing boat. And I thought to myself, what are those people doing today? Where are they? What are their children doing? How have they contributed to Australia? But I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the Vietnamese community here in Australia have made us laugh, have made us cry, but also keep us in line. And I'll tell you why. Because when I think about great Vietnamese Australians, I think of a gentleman called An Do. An is a comedian. He's a writer, he's a painter. And you would have seen him on An's Brush with Fame. Now, you know that any time you watch that TV show, there is one thing that is very common, besides the beautiful paintings that An does, and his intelligent wit. And that is the fact that he brings the viewers to tears. Tears of joy and appreciation. And that's what the Vietnamese community does here in Australia, reminds us that we're all in it together. It doesn't matter who you are. And we thank An for the beautiful stories that he presents. But it doesn't stop there. You look at someone like a great chef called Luke Nguyen, and what Luke has done now for us as non-Vietnamese, cooking Vietnamese food in different households. And he's set up the Red Lantern, as you know, but also in Hanoi, looking after underprivileged children through his actual interests in his business, but also in his service to others. That is a Vietnamese and that is an Australian thing to do. But then I think about people who keep us in line. And I'm talking about the Most Reverend Bishop of Parramatta, Vincent Long, who is the first Vietnamese bishop outside of Vietnam to head a diocese in Parramatta, the 4th bishop in the Catholic Archdiocese. And of course, Vincent Long keeps us who are Catholic in line with the teachings. But when you go around in our community, you see the Buddhist temples, the venerables, and the most venerables themselves keep us all in line in realising that it doesn't matter what faith, what language, who you are, we all must be kind and speak to each other nicely. And that is one of the most beautiful things. And then the highest office in the land. As you know, South Australia has its governor, who is of a Vietnamese background. More so than any other place in the world, Australia is the first place that has given that vice-regal position to a Vietnamese Australian. And that means that over the last 45 years, the Vietnamese community have entrenched themselves in Australia in saying, we are here, yes, we are Vietnamese, but we are also proud Australians. And I say, as someone who is of migrant background, my parents, to you as Vietnamese people, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because you make our community what it is today. And our community would be the poorer had it not been for your wonderful efforts. So I say to you all in the Year of the Ox, work hard, be very intelligent in everything that you do, look after your families, and may God's blessings be on each and every one of you in 2021, the Year of the Ox. Chúc mừng năm mới.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gaigazangari.
Và người phát biểu kế tiếp có lẽ chúng ta ai cũng đều biết, đó chính là ông thị trưởng của thành phố Fairfield, ông Frank Caboni.
The next guest speaker is a proud local who was born and raised in Fairfield, one of the most ethnically diverse councils in Sydney. And there's probably no one in Fairfield City Council who doesn't recognise his face. Mayor Frank Caboni is the next guest speaker, and he was elected to Fairfield City Council in September 2008 and has been Mayor of Fairfield City Council since 2012. With his experience in business, Mr. Frank Caboni has worked closely with people of the Fairfield City Council to develop positive community and local business relationships. And he is instrumental into turning Fairfield City Council into the amazing place it is today, with many amenities and infrastructure built in recent times. Please welcome Mr. Mayor Frank Caboni.
Well, thank you and good afternoon to everyone. It's wonderful to be back with real people. No Zoom meetings. We actually have a festival on. And if there's one place in Sydney where people can party and showcase a festival, it's here in Fairfield City. First of all, I'd like to, of course, acknowledge the Gadigal people from the Bonnyrigg Nation. Also to all our wonderful guests that have come from many different political backgrounds, from far and wide, to be here with our community. And also to each and every one of you that are attending here today. Celebrating Lunar New Year is very special for all of you, but it's also very special for all of us. When I say you and us, I say all of us as one, because it doesn't matter if you're Dai Li, who was born in Vietnam, Tanya Mahalik, who came from Russia, the mayor of Bankstown, Karl Lashford, who came from the Middle East, and Chris Bowen, who was born in Smithfield. We all understand the importance of traditions. It doesn't matter where you come from, how far and wide. It's traditions that are the backbone of our community. It's traditions that are the backbone of our families. So in celebrating Lunar New Year, we all join in with you. Because although Guy Zangari mentioned Ang Do and Luke Nguyen, these are all marvellous Vietnamese. But to me, when I look at the Vietnamese community, when I walk down the streets of Cabramatta and I see the small business owner, the small restaurant, the poor lady that's selling wedding dresses in these times, it doesn't matter. When I go to a school and I see my kids' teachers from a Vietnamese background, but Australian. When I go to the local hospital and I see a Vietnamese. When I walk down the streets of Canley Heights or Fairfield or anywhere and I see a Vietnamese, I say to myself, these are the Vietnamese people that everyone should be proud of, because you left your home, you left your family, you left your friends, and you came here as migrants and worked very, very hard to support your family, to support your children. And together, you all form part of this wonderful country that we have here in Australia. Now, this year, celebrating Lunar New Year right here, I want to congratulate Paul Nguyen and the VCA for the wonderful job that they do. But out of all years, we had to have COVID. This year that we got a local federal member who is the Shadow Minister for Climate Change. As many of you know, 2 years ago it was flooding at the Fairfield Showground. Last year we had 40-degree heat, and this year Chris had promised me that he would take care of the weather, but I'm sure he will next year. Thank you, Chris. Give him a big round of applause. He's certainly got a big job ahead of him. In celebrating Lunar New Year, I can assure you the Fairfield City Council understands how important this is to our community. Our community is built on the foundations of people that have come from across the globe and settled in this country. Just like John Williams. That's right, John Williams was a migrant to this country. He settled at the Fairfield Showground in 1792. Just like him, my father, many of you, your mums, your dads and your grandparents came here. And together we have built this city and this country as Australians. But it's the heritage and the traditions that we brought with us that makes us a colourful society, that makes us a successful society, that brings the colour and the noises, such as the lion dancing, to our community, that makes us interesting. How boring have the past 12 months been without the celebrations in Fairfield? But we have a lot to look forward to. The council understands this, and that's why in the next month or so we'll be opening in the middle of our city the People's Globe. The People's Globe will have each flag from every country that people came to this city. It will have the distance from where those people came from, including the Vietnamese community. Because after all, we need to make sure that the sacrifices of our mums and dads are never, ever forgotten. And I look forward to opening that up really shortly. Now, I'm not going to go on because the way restrictions are, I'm too scared that if I keep on talking, there will be a new order coming out and the celebrations will not be allowed to proceed. So to each and every one of you, as the Mayor of Fairfield and on behalf of Fairfield City Council, I hope you have a wonderful celebration. Family is really important to all of us, and Lunar New Year certainly gives us an opportunity to get closer to our families, to celebrate everything good that we have in our families, and to look forward, no doubt, to a brighter year in the year 2021, in the Year of the Ox. Chúc mừng năm mới to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Frank Caboni. We'll now move on to our next segment, the Incense Offering Ceremony. Tiếp đến là phần dâng hương. Kính mời ông Paul Huy Nguyễn, Chủ tịch Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do New South Wales, ông Quỳnh Văn Xem, Chủ tịch Hội đồng Tư vấn và Giám sát New South Wales, cô Kate Hoàng, Phó Chủ tịch Nội vụ Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do New South Wales, cùng bước lên sân khấu để bắt đầu nghi lễ dâng hương. In keeping with Vietnamese tradition, we would like to invite the community to join us in paying respects to our ancestors. Please can I call upon onto the stage to commence the incense offering ceremony, Mr. Paul Huy Nguyen, President of the Vietnamese community in Australia, New South Wales chapter, Mr. Van Sam Nguyen, President of the Executive Advisory Council, Ms. Kate Huang, Vice President of the Vietnamese community in Australia, federal level.
Việt Nam Văn Hiến, năm thứ 4900. Hôm nay, thứ Bảy, ngày 13 tháng 2, 2021, nhằm mùng 2 Tết Giêng năm Tân Sửu. Trước bàn thờ quốc tổ được thiết lập tại Bibby Place, thành phố Fairfield, tiểu bang New South Wales, Úc Đại Lợi. Tất cả chúng con cùng với đồng bào, lòng thành lễ bạc, đồng tâm kính thỉnh nhị vị tộc tổ. Liệt vị quốc tổ 18 đời hùng vương, các đấng minh quân, văn thành võ thánh, anh hùng liệt nữ và hồn thiên sông núi của Tổ quốc Việt Nam. Xin về đây chứng giám cho buổi lễ dâng hương đầu năm để tưởng nhớ công ơn dựng nước và giữ nước của chư liệt vị. Và với lòng thành kính, chúng con xin bày biện chút lễ phẩm kính dâng lên chư liệt vị. Kính thưa chư liệt vị, sau khi miền Nam bị Cộng sản cưỡng chiếm, đất nước Việt Nam ngày càng thêm tang thương và lạc hậu. Đã qua 45 mùa quốc hận, nước mắt người dân Việt sống trong chế độ Cộng sản gần như cạn kiệt với quá nhiều đau thương chồng chất. Từ nhiều năm qua, hàng ngàn người dân yêu nước bị đầy đọa trong ngục tù, uất hận, chết trong oan ức chỉ vì dám cảnh báo về hiểm họa Bắc thuộc hoặc đấu tranh cho tự do, dân chủ và nhân quyền cho đất Việt. Đất nước đã và đang bị lũ Cộng sản cố tình phá hủy truyền thống chống ngoại xâm và tận diệt nền văn hiến ngàn đời của dân tộc. Nhớ khi xưa, từ những mùa xuân thời bình minh lạc Việt, trải mấy ngàn năm, xuân vẫn đến đúng kỳ. Xuân Văn Lang mấy ngàn năm ôi kỳ tích. Xuân Mê Linh dù ngắn ngủi vẫn oai hùng. Xuân Thăng Long trong muôn vàng gian khổ, vẫn bền gan giữ vững mảnh giang sang. Nhưng tiếc thay, con tạo vần xoay xin bị thái. Sau mùa xuân kỷ dậu hào hùng, Chúa Xuân buồn bã như quên Tết, nên bao năm đến thật hững hờ. Và đã hơn 75 năm, khi máu đồng bào thay vào cho màu pháo, thì mùa lên mà xuân lại không về. Vì vậy, trong giờ phút linh thiêng của đầu năm Tân Sửu, chúng con cầu xin chư liệt vị phù trợ cho người Việt khắp nơi đồng tâm hiệp lực, dựng lại ngọn cờ tự chủ, vùng lên tranh đấu, giải trừ chế độ Cộng sản để đất nước Việt Nam có tự do dân chủ thật sự. Xin gơi lại dòng máu quật cường, bất khuất và độ trì cho con dân nước Việt, có thêm quyết tâm và kiên trì để đuổi bọn tàu Cộng phương Bắc ra khỏi bờ cõi, để mở một trang sử mới cho dân tộc. Và cúi xin chư liệt vị độ trì cho đồng bào khắp nơi thoát cơn dịch bệnh Vũ Hán. Lòng thành khấn nguyện, cúi xin chấp hưởng và chứng giám.
Xin mời quý vị trở về chỗ ngồi. Please can I also invite our distinguished guests to the stage to give incense and offer your prayers. For the representative of the federal government, please make your way to the stage. The Honourable David Coleman MP, Assistant Minister to the Prime Minister for Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. The Honourable Mr Chris Hayes MP, Member for Fowler, Chief Opposition Whip. The Honourable Mr Jerome Bottolet, Policy Advisor of the Premier. The Honourable Chris Bowen MP, Member for McMahon, New South Wales, Shadow Minister for Health. And Mr. Jason Clare MP is currently on the stage, member for Baxland. We would now like to invite to the stage the representative of the state government, the Honourable Ms. Tanya Mahala, member for Bankstown, the Honourable Mr. Nick Lalik, MP, member for Cabramatta, the Honourable Ms. Wendy Lindsay, member for East Hills, the Honourable Mr. Guy Zangari, MP, member for Fairfield. We would now like to invite to the stage the representative of the local government, Mayor Frank Caboni, Fairfield City Council, Mayor Carl Ashford, Canterbury Bankstown City Council, Mayor the Honourable Philip Ruddock, Hornsby Shire Council.
This group
Is she
council,
here?
not that I can see from here. Not in here. I just mentioned she's not here. I just mentioned her name.
Just still go with the list. We now invite to the stage our councillors, Councillor Daile from Fairfield City Council, Councillor Sarah Yilmaz from Fairfield City Council, Councillor Bilal El Hayek from Canterbury Bankstown City Council, Councillor George Zakia from Canterbury Bankstown City Council, Councillor Alex Kuskov from Canterbury Bankstown City Council.
Pay their respects as well. What's their name? Yep, next week we have the name. No, only that. Brett and Robert.
And Robert. Brett and Robert. And just say Brett McFadden and Robert.
Robert, yeah, that's it.
We would now like to invite to the stage our distinguished guests, President of the Vietnamese Community Australia, Wollongong, Ms. Hương Thủy Trần, the VCA Medical Advisor, Dr. Brian Cung, Fairfield Commander Detective Superintendent, Brett McFadden and Robert, Prisoner of Conscience, Mr. Võ Đại Tôn, President of the Vietnamese Veterans, Mr. Võ Minh Cương.
kính mời ông Võ Đại Tôn và ông Võ Minh Cương. Và kế tiếp, Khai Hoàng xin kính mời các thành viên của Hội đồng Tư vấn Giám sát New South Wales cùng tiến lên phía trước để thắp nén hương. Đồng thời, Khai Hoàng cũng xin kính mời tất cả thành viên của VCA New South Wales xin tiến lên phía trước.
On the stage are all the members of the VCA Advisory Committee and all the members of the VCA Executive Team. On the stage are the members of the VCA team.
Dạ, xin cảm ơn các thành viên của ban chấp hành. Và đến đây là chúng ta đã kết thúc phần lễ nghi của dân hương.
Thank you to our distinguished guests, and that concludes the incense offering ceremony.
Và kế đến chúng tôi xin giới thiệu ca sĩ Annalise Võ. Cô sẽ trình bày ca khúc Hello Vietnam.
We will now invite to the stage singer Annalise Võ. No matter how much time has passed, no matter how far away we may go, the international Vietnamese community still carry our motherland Vietnam in our hearts, especially as it was pre-1975, where there are young Vietnamese Australians who long to learn their beginnings and connect with their cultural roots on their journey to find their self-identity. This year, more than ever, many yearn for the day we can truly return to our mother country to say hello Vietnam, to reminisce and bring nostalgia. Singer Annalise Võ will perform a song, Hello Vietnam, composed by Mark Levain and made famous by Vietnamese Belgian singer Nguyen An. Please welcome singer Annalise Võ.
Tell me all about this name that is difficult to say. It was given me the day I was born. Want to know about the stories of the empire of old. My eyes say more of me than what you dare to say. All I know of you is the sights of war. I feel like a blood, the helicopter touch your soul. One day I'll finally know my soul. One day I'll come to you to say hello, Vietnam, to say hello, Vietnam, to say xin chào, Vietnam. Thank you.
Wow, xin cảm ơn cô Annalise Võ với giọng hát thật là ngọt ngào.
Thank you, singer Annalise Vo, for your beautiful performance. Annalise is a young Vietnamese Australian who is a successful optometrist in the community. And that performance, what a fitting way to start the next segment of the program, which is one I personally look forward to each year. In the next segment, we will congratulate and award the Vietnamese Australian HSC students from class of 2020 who achieved an ATAR above 99. Despite the disruptions during 2020, they still persevered and achieved outstanding results. We would now like to invite Ms. Đỗ Trung Xuân Nguyễn, Cultural and Education Vice President of VCA New South Wales Chapter, to step onto the stage to give a speech and present these prestigious awards.
Và để tiếp tục chương trình, chúng tôi xin bắt đầu phần phát thưởng HSC cho các em đạt điểm thi tốt nghiệp trên 99 điểm. Xin kính mời cô Đỗ Trung Xuân Nguyên, Phó Chủ tịch Văn hóa và Giáo dục của Cộng đồng Người Việt tự do New South Wales, bước lên sân khấu phát biểu và trao phần thưởng.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Linda. Kính thưa quý vị đại diện các hội đoàn, kính thưa toàn thể đồng hương, để tiếp tục duy trì truyền thống coi trọng giáo dục của dân tộc Việt, đồng thời khuyến khích các em học sinh Việt Nam đã nỗ lực học hành và đạt kết quả tốt. Như thông lệ hàng năm, Cộng đồng Người Việt tự do New South Wales tổ chức lễ phát thưởng và vinh danh các học sinh gốc Việt đã đạt điểm ATAR trên 99 trong kỳ thi HSC vừa qua. Đây không những chỉ là kết quả của những ngày tháng chăm chỉ, cố gắng học hành của các em, mà còn là kết quả của sự chăm lo, hy sinh của các bậc cha mẹ, của các trường học, của các thầy cô giáo đã hết lòng dạy dỗ và hỗ trợ các em. Cộng đồng xin chúc mừng những em đã đạt kết quả xuất sắc trong kỳ thi HSC vừa qua. Cũng xin chia sẻ niềm vui với các bậc phụ huynh và các thầy cô của các em. Chúng ta cùng chia sẻ niềm hãnh diện đối với thành quả vượt bậc mà các em đã đạt được. Sau đây tôi xin phép nói đôi lời bằng tiếng Anh với các quan khách Úc. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, upholding the Vietnamese tradition of highly valuing youth education, this year once again, the VCA run this ceremony to honor and present awards to HSC students of Vietnamese origin who in the recent HSC exam have achieved ATAR score of 99 and above. The incredible achievement of those students are the result not only of their own hard work, but also of their parents' care and sacrifice, and of their school and teachers' effort. Sau đây tôi xin mời các em học sinh xuất sắc bước lên sân khấu.
We now invite the following distinguished guests to the stage to present the awards to the high achieving students. And please stay to take a photo with the students on the left side of the stage. We invite the Honourable Chris Bowen, MP, to present to the students the following awards. Anh Nghĩa Lê, ATAR, 99.05. Alex Nguyen, 99.15. Katrina Din, 99.15. Okay. We now invite the next distinguished guest to present the award to the following students. Please welcome Ms. Wendy Lindsay, MP, to present the following awards. Christina Dane, 99.35. Eric Lee, 99.35. Eric Viljama, 99.35. We now invite Mr. Jason Clare MP to present the award to the following students. Eric Vung, 99.40. He couldn't make it here today, but on his behalf is Felix Vung, his brother, to collect the award on his behalf. Kathy Gao, 99.50. James Nguyen, 99.5. We now invite Ms. Hương Thủy Trần, President of the VCA Wollongong, to present the award to the following students. Michael Vu, 99.55. Catherine Lee, 99.65. Quang Minh Nguyễn, 99.75. We now invite to the stage Dr. Brian Gung Đinh Bình, VCA Medical Advisor, to present the award to the following students. Robert Din, 99.80. The next student is a top student, achieving the highest possible score. So big round of applause, Alexander Van Fan, 99.95.
And can I ask all the students to stay in front of the stage so we can have a group photo together, please?
And we invite the distinguished guests to come forward to take a photo with the students. Big round of applause to our students and their families for their achievements. Congratulations, we are proud of you. You are the future of the Vietnamese community in Australia, and we believe this will be just the beginning of many more successes.
Và cho em sẽ thay mặt tất cả các học sinh được nhận phần thưởng ngày hôm nay để có đôi lời gửi đến quý vị.
Kính thưa quý quan khách, quý ông bà, cô chú và các anh chị, con xin nói tiếng Anh trong phần cảm ơn hôm nay. Dear your honorable distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is James Nguyen and I graduated in 2020 from Fort Street High School. It is both an honor and a privilege that I'm able to stand here today representing my fellow students to congratulate all of my bright peers who have proved themselves by excelling in their academics and making the Vietnamese community proud. 2020 was a year full of hardships and uncertainty. Schools were shut down, classes were moved online, and school life was compromised. Not only was the learning aspect of school affected, as this meant time with friends was also cut short and school events were cancelled, resulting in very low morale among students in New South Wales. Year 12 especially was affected by this, having to sit the grueling HSC amidst numerous unpredictable disruptions caused by the ongoing pandemic, to the point where some doubted the HSC would even happen. Personally, learning from home made it very difficult for me to stay focused on my studies and discouraged me, as I was not able to socialize with my friends as often as I would have liked. So again, I would like to highlight the accomplishments these students have achieved despite the unfavorable circumstances and wish them the very best for their future careers. I would also like to thank the Australian government and our state government for their efforts throughout last year, such as their exceptional management, support systems, and the initiatives put in place to keep the country and states running, and also their continued dedication to recover normal day-to-day life. Furthermore, I want to extend my thanks to the Vietnamese community in Australia, New South Wales chapter, for their ongoing support and encouragement for students to chase their ambitions and achieve the highest results through the educational and rewards program. I also cannot understate the impact the educational system of our country had on our Year 12 journey amidst the pandemic. Thank you to all the teachers who not only took the time to organize classes and resources for our educational benefit, but also for going that extra step to ensure learning online was as engaging and effective as possible. And to all the aspiring students still in school, I wish you all the best of luck for the remainder of your school life. High school is an incredible experience, so enjoy it while it lasts, and remember to give it your best to make your parents, mentors, and most importantly, yourself proud. It's never too late to start, so make a start before you have regrets. Put in the hard work, study smart, and all your ambitions will be realized. Last but not least, I'd like to express my gratitude for all the parents, siblings, mentors, families, and friends of the Year 12 class this year, for the care, sacrifices, and undying support they've had for the students not only in Year 12, but throughout their 13 years of schooling. While I'm here, I cannot express enough how grateful I am for having such a beautiful family, such a beautiful group of mentors, group of friends, specifically my parents and my sister, for the unconditional love and support they've shown me throughout my entire life, and for my brother Jason, who although is no longer physically with us, continues to inspire me to give back to the wider community and pursue a career in helping others. From the students of the class of 2020, we would like to wish you all a happy new year, a year of the ox with good health, success, and prosperity. Chúc mừng năm mới, cảm ơn, and thank you.
Thank you, James, and congratulations again, students. This now concludes the official ceremony. we invite distinguished guests to stay back to take a photo with the Executive Committee of the Vietnamese Community New South Wales chapter before you leave. To wrap up, we also recognise the huge commitment and active contributions that have been made by many valued people in our community, which has helped create this memorable traditional Tết atmosphere. On behalf of the organising committee, we wish you a happy Lunar New Year, filled with good health, prosperity, and that all your wishes will come true in the year of the buffalo. Please enjoy exploring decorations created by our volunteers. There's also complimentary instant photo booth photo, free traditional calligraphy, and entertainment to follow. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon and chúc mừng năm mới.
Thank you everyone. Thank you students. Và chương trình Mừng Xuân đến đây đã kết thúc. Xin kính mời quý vị quan khách cùng ở lại để chụp hình lưu niệm với ban chấp hành trước khi về. Và một lần nữa, ban chấp hành Cộng đồng Người Việt Tự do New South Wales xin kính chúc quý vị một năm mới an khang, thịnh vượng và vạn sự như ý.